Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Wait.
Everyone's done
Did
up.
you listen to that, see if it works?
Sorry, I was making sure the cast knows what to do after they learn who will be the murderer of this performance based on the count of ballots. There are a couple of things Mr. St. John intended to put in the second act once he had made up his mind. Who's the murderer. Lines or actions that are clues to that person's identity. The cast will work these into the show. I wanted you to know so you can continue to play armchair detective and try to guess the culprit's identity. Well, I guess that's everything for now. Relax and enjoy the conclusion of Murder in the Air.
Lights. Dead. I can't believe grandfather's dead.
Well, he is, Cousin Simon. He's the deadest person I ever saw.
Funny you should say that. Bensonhurst and I were discussing the degrees of death earlier, and he seemed...
Mother, please.
And he was murdered.
There's no doubt about it. You saw the body.
Poor grandfather. If I got here sooner, maybe.
Now, how do we know you didn't get here sooner?
What?
For all we know, you could have arrived hours ago, parked your car out of sight, slipped into the house, killed the lights moments before you killed Simon Starkweather.
Now that's ridiculous. Why would I kill him?
I'd say a third of a $50 billion fortune is a pretty good reason to knock somebody off. If Mr. Starkweather had signed that new will...
But I didn't know about the new will. I wasn't here when grandfather revealed that crazy cloning scheme you told me about.
It would have been easy enough to hide outside the French doors and eavesdrop on the conversation.
But why would I hide? I was expected here. I told you what happened.
Tell me again.
Alright. I had to creep at a snail's pace on that long country road from town. The rain was lashing the windshield so hard I could barely see. The wind was snapping branches off the trees and flinging them against the car. It was like driving through a hurricane. When I got to the wooden bridge that spans the stream which flows around the estate, I had to stop. The stream had turned into a raging river, and it had torn the bridge to pieces. I remembered a place about a mile from there where a tree had fallen across the stream years ago. I used to play on it when I was a kid. I found the dead tree and managed to walk across it, even though the rising water nearly covered the trunk. Apparently, I got here just after grandfather was murdered.
That's a good story, but it sounds rehearsed.
Not nearly enough. It's the truth, I swear it.
Maybe, but I'm still not crossing you off my suspect list.
And just who else do you have on that list, Mrs. Davis?
Everyone in this house, except Ms. Van Zandt and Ms. Collins. They had a heck of a lot to gain if your grandfather had lived only a few more minutes. As it turns out, they're left out in the cold.
Especially me. Lois has other clients. Now I'm among the unemployed.
I'm sure once the estate is settled, we can arrange for you to be given a generous severance check.
Take out your portion if you like. Mother and I will pass.
So will I. Nothing personal, of course.
Of course.
Mrs. Davis, what do we do now?
Simon Stewart reminded me that we could play some bridge.
The way I see it, we all sit tight until daybreak. Then I'll have you show me the way to your car and drive me to town. I'll report what I know to the police, and I'll notify them that the bridge is out. My guess is the cops will fly in by helicopter. They'll need to get the body to the coroner's office, examine the crime scene, and take your statements. Once a homicide detective is assigned to the case, I'm out of here.
But you're a detective too, and you were right here when the murder occurred. You have a better chance of solving the murder than anyone else.
Sorry, but now that Mr. Starkweather is dead, I'm off the payroll. Once I give the big boys my statement, I'm finished.
I'll hire you to stay. I won't have the money to pay you till I get my portion of the inheritance, but if you're willing to wait...
You're on, kid. I figure you're good for the dough. Incidentally, that offer dropped you down to the bottom of the suspect list. Well, I might as well start earning my salary.
How can we help Mrs. Davis?
First, I want to question everyone as to their whereabouts when Mr. Starkweather was murdered.
Establish everyone's alibis.
Yeah. Also, I need to know anything all of you and the staff might have seen or heard during the last few hours that might lead us to discover the killer's identity.
Clues.
You got it. Motives, alibis, and clues. That's what a detective has to work with. The motives in this case are obvious. The other elements aren't yet. But hopefully they will be by the time I'm finished.
That sounds like a plan to me. Whom do you want to start with, Mrs. Davis?
Since you're paying the freight, call me Mike. How about you, Miss Thompson? Do you mind being first?
I'm awfully tired, but if I have to.
Hey, you don't have to call it that, son.
You don't have to, Paula. None of us do.
What do you mean, dear?
I mean, Davis isn't a police officer. We don't have to tell her the time of day.
You're right, Jordan. But why would you refuse to cooperate? Unless you have something to hide.
Now look, Simon, don't start accusing me of murder unless you can prove it.
Simon has a point. Do you want me to tell the cops everyone cooperated except you?
Oh, alright. I'll answer your dumb questions. But first, I'm going to take Mother upstairs and have her lie down until you're ready for her. She's getting up in years and she needs her rest.
What? Thank you very much, Jordan. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I'm not Miss Methuselah either.
Don't get excited, Mother. Are you okay? Do you need your digit house?
No, but if I did, there's probably 1 or 2 pills still under the bottle of the sofa. I had a little accident with my pill bottle.
Come on. You can call when you're ready for us.
I assume you want to question everyone in private? You can wait with me in my room if you'd like, Kathy. I want to read over the old will again since it will remain the official one.
Sure, Lois. Excuse us.
I'll say. I'd like to stay. Since I wasn't here earlier, hearing everyone's statements would give me a clearer picture of what happened tonight at Starkweather Mission.
You're the boss now. I'm particularly interested in what happened between the time Mr. Starkweather announced he was changing his will and the time his body was discovered.
And how long was that?
Several hours. Well, Ms. Thompson, did you observe anything which occurred in that time frame that might help us?
Well, I was very disappointed by Great Uncle Simon's announcement, as you might imagine. I mean, I can understand why you might want to clone someone like Tom Cruise. But Great Uncle Simon? No offense, Cousin Simon, but your grandfather was not a very nice person. Anyway, I spent most of my time in my room, but I did come downstairs once on a little errand. I was outside the kitchen door when I heard Minerva and that cute little maid, Nancy, talking.
What's the matter with you, girl? Did you leave your mind in the other room? You haven't heard a word I said.
I'm sorry, Minerva. I'm so confused.
About what? Has that no-good scamp, Jordan, been bothering you?
Jordan, Mr. Starkweather? What makes you think that?
When I walked in on the 2 of you in the living room, you were standing mighty close together. Really lovey-dovey like. What was he saying to you?
I think he wanted me to...
To do something you didn't want to do?
Yes. But it's not what you're thinking!
I'll bet. He better stay away from you. If that boy tries anything, I'll cut him down to size.
Minerva, no! He's not interested in me. I heard him with Miss Collins.
That! I get the picture. When you lost your million, he lost interest in you, didn't he? He's following the money right to the Collins girl, isn't he?
He proposed to her. But she laughed at him.
Good for her. Serves him right, the lazy bum.
Don't call him that.
You are hung up on him, aren't you? Don't be a fool, Nancy. Jordan would just use you and toss you aside like he's done a dozen other girls I know of.
Maybe he's ready to settle down now. If Mr. Starkweather hadn't changed his will, Jordan would be free to...
Free to do what?
nothing. If we're finished, I'd like to go to my room.
Go on. Nancy,
Yes, ma'am?
lock your door. Excuse me. That little scene in the foyer was a flashback. It showed a conversation Paula overheard before the murder. The other characters' stories, well, portions of them, will be shown in flashback too. Isn't that clever? I just wanted to make sure you got that. No, that's all.
She's really asking for it.
Oh, so tell me, Mrs. Trent, did you see or hear anything suspicious earlier tonight before Mr. Starkweather was murdered?
Suspicious? I suppose you call toting a gun around the house suspicious, even though Mr. Starkweather wasn't shot to death.
A gun? Who has a gun?
Besides me?
Paula Thompson, that's who, claims she's a regular Oakley and Annie Oakley. and she mentioned how easy it would be for someone to come through those French doors and kill Mr. Starkweather.
Did she know?
Ask her yourself.
Anything else?
I did happen to hear a rather odd conversation between Rufus and Mrs. Starkweather. I had gone up the stairs to distribute candles in case of a power outage, which turned out to be very useful, as you know. I was about to turn the corridor into the west wing when I saw Mrs. Starkweather at the far end near the stairs.
Do I have enough? Oh dear.
Miss Starkweather.
Rufus, you scared me out of my year's growth.
Ah, that's okay, ma'am. At our age, we do all our growing sideways, don't we?
I certainly hope not. What are you doing with that television set? It doesn't look like a portable.
It is now. I'm borrowing it from one of the guest rooms that ain't in use.
Whatever for?
Well, you see, I ain't sleepy, so I thought I'd watch some TV. But the set in my room's all messed up. The color, I mean. Everyone on the Dad Blame channel is green. Miley Cyrus is green. SpongeBob is green. Even Mr. Starkweather is green. Looks like every station is starting Kermit the Frog.
How disconcerting.
You can say that again. Whatever it means. Are them breath mints? I won't mind if you. I can still taste that crap whenever it's served the staff for supper.
These? Oh no, Rufus, you mustn't take any of these. They're for my heart. If you ate any of these pills, they could kill you.
Alright, in that case, I'll pass. You better be careful not to leave them lying around, though. If somebody could eat a bunch by mistake and keel over dead.
That's entirely possible.
Well, what would you put on their death certificate? Cause of death, bad breath.
It isn't a laughing. It's Rufus. It's not a laughing matter. I'm going to be careful with them. I need these pills. You see, I need every one of them.
Rufus had an axe in the house?
Yes, Master Simon. I instructed him to chop some firewood earlier.
I'm surprised you trust him with an axe.
Well, personally, I wouldn't trust him with a butter knife. I was simply relaying Mr. Starkweather's instructions.
Was there anything else of interest that you happened to notice?
Just one, sir. Earlier tonight, I was coming from the kitchen when I saw Master Jordan at the door to Mr. Starkweather's room. The hall door, not that one. His behavior was somewhat furtive. I got the impression he was about to enter when the door opened and Miss Withers came out. It was apparent her unexpected appearance startled Master Jordan.
Oh well, what do you want?
I was going to check on Great Uncle Simon.
No need. That's what I'm paid to do.
How is he?
Still breathing? If that's what you're wondering about.
How much time do you think he has left, Miss Withers?
Let's just say he needn't start reading any long novels, or even a short story.
Do you think he'll make it through the night?
I think Mr. Starkweather will keep his heart beating through sheer determination, long enough to sign that new will. That is what you want to know, isn't it?
Why do you misjudge me, Miss Withers?
Give it a rest, Jordan. You'd love to see him drop dead before daybreak, just like nearly everyone else in this house.
Including you. $1 million is a fortune. A lot of people would kill for that much money.
If there's a hint, forget it. As Mr. Starkweather's nurse, I'd be the prime suspect if his death appeared to be anything but natural causes.
Suspecting and proving are two different things.
I'm going to forget you said that. Good night, Jordan. It's true. Jordan Starkweather did hint that I was in a position to end Great Uncle's life in a way that would appear natural. I assume Bensonhurst also told you that I refused.
He did, but you could have changed your mind.
And then killed him with a blood pressure cuff? That would have been foolish. Hardly what you'd call by natural causes.
I agree. The manner by which he was murdered makes no sense at all. Whoever did it.
It's as if the killer was flaunting the deed in our faces.
Why would they do that?
That's a good question. Tell me, Miss Withers, if you had to pick a likely suspect to be a murderer, who would it be?
Off the record? That Thompson bro. His great niece is too goody-goody for my taste. Oh, those southern girls can pour on the charm when they want to. But Scarlett O'Hara was pretty ruthless when you get down to it.
And we've been told cousin Paula has a gun.
See what I mean? I dare say she and Jordan both were desperate to get their hands on Mr. Starkweather's billions. I overheard them talking earlier this evening. It was shortly after Mrs. Van Zandt's announcement about the new will. They didn't notice me in the corridor.
Well, what are we gonna do now?
Do? What can we do? It's out of our hands.
Don't be such a wimp, Cousin Jordan. That money rightfully belongs to us. There's gotta be a way to get it.
I know. Maybe we can break the will if we have Great Uncle Simon declared insane.
I've thought about that, but it won't work. If cloning was just a wild theory, we probably could, but it isn't. It's been done. His plan is to be the first person to clone himself. It might be bizarre, but it isn't insane. We would lose the case.
And probably spend the pittance we're going to inherit on the lawyers.
Like that Miss Van Zandt. She...
What is it? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, if you can't beat them, join them.
Huh?
I just came up with a way to get Miss Van Zandt to put me on her team.
What is it?
Fend for yourself, Jordan. If you'll excuse me, I need to talk to that lawyer.
If you can't beat him. Oh yeah. Now where would Kathy be?
It's true. Jordan did suggest we get married. It wasn't what you'd call a romantic proposal. It was more like a business proposition.
You're going to have access to billions. What could Jordan have to offer you?
Himself, I guess. In my opinion, that fortune hunter wouldn't be worth 2 cents.
Then you did turn him down?
Jordan isn't attractive in a smarmy sort of way, but any woman who married him would be a fool. Believe me, Mike, I'm no fool.
I knew that from the time we started working together.
And you were smart enough to volunteer to carry grandfather's clone.
Look, Simon, once Mr. Starkweather made up his mind to clone himself, nothing was going to change it. He would have found a surrogate mother somewhere, so it might as well have been me.
I understand. I just think the whole idea was creepy.
You're a lot nicer about it than the other heirs were.
For example?
Paula, for one. She hadn't given up hope on getting her hands on Mr. Starkweather's money.
How do you know?
I was in Lois's room with her when Paula knocked on her door. She asked Lois to step into the corridor where she would speak to her in private. Lois went out with her. She didn't close the door completely, so I couldn't help but overhear the conversation.
We're very busy, Miss Thompson.
Preparing that new will?
Yes.
Miss Van Zandt, you're a lawyer. Are you sure this cloning business is legal? You could lose your license to practice, couldn't you, Ed?
The process will be performed in Belgium. As we told you, our laws don't apply there.
What about ethics? Haven't lawyers been disbarred for behavior that was unethical, if not illegal?
What's your point?
I want in on the deal. You can pay me from that trust fund to be the baby's nanny or whatever. I don't care what you do in the position. If you refuse, I shall be forced to report you to the Bar Association. Isn't that what you call it?
It is. Let me give you a little free legal advice, Miss Thompson. In the first place, if you make any accusations against me before the cloning procedure has been completed successfully, I'll sue you for the $50,000 you're due to receive and everything else you own, and I'll get it. In the second place, once the baby's on the way, I plan to close down my office. I shall devote all my time to Kathy and Will Simon's care. At that point, it won't bother me in the least if I should be disbarred. You won't have to be a lawyer to administer an estate. Anyone can do it. So you see, young woman, your threats are meaningless. In fact, as an officer of the court, I should report your feeble attempt at extortion to the police.
Well, I wasn't.
Save it. Take your silly southern self out of my sight, and I might be willing to forget it.
All right. I'll go. You. Lawyer!
Excusez-moi?
Yes, Miss Trent?
I found out what what is left of the Christmas candles I stored away. I thought it might be a good idea to pass them out in case of a power failure. I suggest you keep one and some matches nearby.
That's very thoughtful. Thank you. Kathy's in my room. I'll take one for her also.
Miss Thompson?
Oh, all right. I'm going to my room. There's something I need to get.
What's the matter with her?
Let's just say she's a poor loser. Miss Thompson played a race, and I trumped it, in a manner of speaking. I'll give this to Kathy.
If I remember correctly, when Kathy Collins saw Mr. Starkweather's body and screamed, you ran in the front door. What have you been doing outside, Rufus?
Was I outside? Yep, guess I was. I remember now. I borrowed a TV from the guest room because...
We heard why, Rufus.
Did? Ooh, news sure travels fast around here.
All the actors on your set were green.
Sure was. Looked like the Martians had landed or something. Anyways, when I hooked up the new set, the picture didn't come in too good. Everybody was fuzzy as a woolly worm. I went outside to try and turn the antenna around.
On the roof?
Well, it wouldn't do much good to put it in the basement, would it? I was about to get the tall ladder out of the storage shed when I heard a gal holler bloody murder. Murder, anyways. Even if it wasn't bloody.
Did you see or hear anything outside?
Oh, I saw an owl, heard a bunch of bullfrogs.
I meant humans.
I saw Mr. Jordan on the patio when I was coming in. Don't know what he was doing out there.
Earlier tonight, Rufus, did you hear anyone talking about the new will?
Who did it? Minerva and old Bentonhurst didn't talk about much else. They was going on about it in the kitchen before Mr. Starkweather croaked.
What were they saying?
That it ain't fair, that's what. That they worked hard for Mr. Starkweather all these years. And they should have got their millions. Me, I didn't care too much. I figured $50,000 would buy me a new TV with a real big screen. I guess now I might even get me two.
Bensonhurst and Minerva?
Oh yeah. The more Minerva thought about it, the madder she got, and whew, that woman's got a temper. She was about ready to storm into Mr. Starkweather's room and give him a piece of her mind.
You wasn't go in there, Minerva.
Who's going to stop me?
I shall. If necessary.
You and whose army?
I totally agree with you that you're wrong, but a confrontation is not the answer.
Oh, yeah? Then what is?
Have patience. Mr. Starkweather hasn't signed the will yet. Perhaps he'll change his mind by morning.
We should live so long.
No, never. He should live so long.
So what were you doing outside about the time of the murder, Mr. Starkweather?
Just getting a breath of fresh air. Anything wrong with that?
Not if you remained outside.
What do you mean?
When I made a cursory examination of the crime scene, I noticed that Miss Withers had left the window raised a couple of inches to let in some of that fresh air. Anyone could have climbed in, and then...
Are you accusing me of murder? Or killing great Uncle Simon?
Calm down, Mr. Starkweather. I'm not accusing anybody yet.
Besides, from what we've heard, Cousin Jordan, it seems that trying to con someone else into doing your bidding is more your style.
Who told you that?
I'll ask the questions if you don't mind. I repeat, what were you doing outside?
If you must know, Kathy and I had a disagreement, and I blew up. I went out to cool off. Or have you already heard about that then?
I question, you answer, remember? Let me ask you this. If you didn't murder Mr. Starkweather, who do you think did?
Look, I'm not saying she did it, but have you talked to that little maid Nancy?
Why her, Cousin Jordan?
That girl has a crush on me. I flirt with the ladies a lot, but I did nothing to lead her on. I know she was upset about the new will. Not just that she would lose her money, but I would lose even more. I'd strolled around the house and was outside the kitchen door when I heard Nancy talking to Miss Withers.
Can I do something for you, Miss Withers?
I need some fresh water to put by Mr. Starkweather's bedside. I got it.
That poor man. When he had the attack and lost his breath in the living room, I realized what you meant before when you said the slightest shock could prove to be fatal.
Exactly.
The slightest shock.
I must
His
go.
mouth!
I must go.
Yes. We wouldn't want anything to happen to him, would we? I was shocked when I
Starkweather had included me in his will. I didn't think he even noticed me.
And you must have received 2 surprises. To hear you didn't inherit $1 million, and then immediately discover it was being taken away.
3 surprises, actually. Now you're wealthy again.
Oh, Mr. Starkweather, I was thrilled to be told your grandfather was leaving me even $50,000. With that, I could go to college like you and get a good education.
Now you can do anything you want, Nancy. What do you want to do?
I don't know. I haven't been thinking about myself much.
Who has been on your mind, Nancy? Jordan Starkweather, perhaps? You're very fond of him, aren't you?
Who told you that?
Cousin Jordan himself, for one. He implied he might even have been willing to kill for him.
He what? How could he say such a thing?
I'm sorry to hurt you, Nancy, but now you see what Jordan's really like. He's out for himself, and he'll trample anyone who gets in his way.
I guess I knew that. I never tried to warn me. I even heard her propose to Miss Collins. She turned him down, then later laughed about it when she told her friend, Miss Van Zandt. I was taking fresh towels to the guest rooms later when I heard them talking. You think Jordan is cold-hearted, but Miss Collins is just as bad as he is.
Can you believe it? Those soulful gazes might work on some innocent young thing like that maid Nancy, but he learned quick enough that I'm no pushover.
I wish I had been there to see it. It's time Jordan met his match. I could tell Nancy about some of the babes who worked here before her. His Playboy days will be over soon enough. Though.
What do you mean?
Up until now, Mr. Starkweather has given Jordan, as well as Fiona, Paula, and young Simon a generous allowance. Once he passes on, the $50,000 bequest will be the last they get of the Starkweather fortune. They'll have to learn what it's like to work for a living.
Simon's almost out of school. He'll do fine. But the others, they'll go through their money in no time. And then what kind of jobs can they have? Can you picture Paula behind the desk of a car rental agency?
Or Jordan driving the cars out of the lot for customers.
And what will Fiona do? Sell Avon?
Can I get anything for you, Cousin Fiona? A glass of water?
No, dear, I'm fine. Miss Davis, I want you to know that my Jordan couldn't have done. Oh dear. What was done to Uncle Simon? He was with me in my room all evening.
You know that can't be true, Mrs. Starkweather. Your son told us himself he went outside, and I saw you in here earlier with Bensonhurst and Miss Withers.
Oh, that's right. Maybe that was last night when he sat with me.
Maybe it was.
Now I know why Jessica Fletcher never believed the suspects on Murder, She Wrote. It's so easy to get confused.
Concentrate on tonight, Mrs. Starkweather. Do you recall seeing anything suspicious?
Suspicious? Well, I saw Uncle Simon's body with that horrible thing around his neck. I'd call that suspicious.
Mike means before that, Cousin Fiona.
Before, let me think. I don't know if this is the sort of thing you mean, but
Yes?
it was right after we were told that about the new will and had all gone upstairs. I was going past the secretary's door when I heard the housekeeper and her inside. They were speaking quite loudly, so I couldn't help but overhear.
What are you doing in my room, Mrs. Trent?
I was checking all of the guest rooms to make sure there are enough blankets in each. I suppose you're pleased with yourself, Miss Collins.
Why do you say that?
It all worked out just as you planned.
I don't know what you mean.
I think you do. I understand why now you brought all those magazines from town and left them lying around where Mr. Starkweather would see them. You've done it for months.
What magazines?
Don't play dumb, Miss Collins. Those news magazines and scientific journals, I've seen them. They had one thing in common, articles about cloning. I didn't realize until tonight, but now it's obvious what you were doing. You planted the idea in Mr. Starkweather's head to clone himself.
What if I did? There are no laws against sharing ideas, are there?
I'm sure your lawyer friend will say no, since you're in this together. That doesn't mean it's right. I think what you're planning to do is hideous.
To be perfectly frank, I couldn't care less what you think. Get out.
Starting to give orders already, are you? I'll leave. remember once saying, young woman, you're not the queen bee yet, and you won't be until Mr. Starkweather's name is on the dotted line, assuming that ever happens.
Kathy told me about Mrs. Trent's accusations that she engineered the cloning business, possibly with my help. Apparently, Mrs. Starkweather reported their conversation accurately, which is something of a surprise.
Is it true? Did you and Kathy give grandfather the idea to clone himself?
I don't really think that's relevant to the case at hand, Simon. Even if we did, we weren't breaking any laws. Don't you agree, Mrs. Davis?
No laws that I can think of.
Then shouldn't we focus on the law that was broken? I'm referring to the murder, of course.
You're right, as usual, Miss Vanzant. Can you volunteer any information that might help us?
I will tell you this. Earlier this evening, I was going into the kitchen to ask Minerva for a pot of coffee. It was apparent that Kathy and I were going to be working late, and I felt that caffeine might help us stay awake. Minerva wasn't there, but Rufus was. I heard him talking to Fiona Starkweather. Their conversation was very peculiar.
Oh, good heavens, Rufus, what are you doing with that axe?
I brought it in from the wood pile to dry it off good. Sharpened it up too. Wanna see?
Goodness, no, put it away.
Maybe I better, before it hurts somebody. Or even kills them.
That's a horrible thought.
Oh, ain't it though? I get those sometimes. Do you?
No,
See, I see you still got your poison pills.
digitalis isn't a poison, it's a stimulant. You just have to be careful not to take too many.
You had a lot more in that bottle when I saw you upstairs. Oh, I hope you haven't gotten overdosed. I think I can figure out how to do mouth-to-mouth stuff.
If you bring those lips any closer, I'll snatch that axe out of your hands and chop them off.
Just trying to help Miss Starkweather.
Well, don't. There are some fates worse than death. I assure you, however, that I am fine. I spilled the pills earlier in the living room. I wasn't able to find them at all.
I hope Minerva don't find none. She fixes Miss Starkweather's meals and she's mighty mad at him right now.
What are you suggesting?
Oh, nothing. Was there something you needed in the kitchen?
I came to see if Minerva had any of those delicious hors d'oeuvres left over.
I can look.
Never mind. I seem to have lost my appetite. Mr. Starkweather's meals. What do you want to know about them?
Who did he dine with? Did he eat the same food as everyone else?
Mr. Starkweather went on a very strict diet. Low salt, low fat, so I had to prepare his meal separately. Why do you want to know about the food? You know there's something wrong with my cooking?
You're a great cook, Minerva. The lamb you served tonight was wonderful.
Yes, well, I've often been told I have terrific legs. So what's the problem?
Forget it. You told me what I need to know. Changing the subject, do you remember who was in the kitchen when the circuit breaker tripped and the lights went out? Before I got there, I mean.
The blackout? I'm not sure. Let me think. I was in the pantry checking the supplies for breakfast. When it went dark, it took me a moment to get this candle Mrs. Trent gave me from my pocket and light it.
Minerva? Nazi? Is everyone alright? I'm here and I'm fine. I was out back when I saw the light go out.
I was in my room when everything went dark. What happened?
Bensonhurst forgot to pay the light bill.
Keep that up and don't forget to pay your wages.
What in blazes is going on?
Apparently, the storm knocked out the electricity. My candles did come in handy, you see?
Remind me to give you a gold star later. Bensonhurst, can you get the electricity back on?
That's exactly what I came to find out, Mr. Bensonhurst.
The circuit breaker is right over here.
I hope they hurry. I don't like the dark.
Was that quick enough for you? I'll get back to my chore.
What did you come inside for? The idiot tracked water all over my clean floor.
Why Mr. Starkweather doesn't fire him, I'll never know.
Any luck?
Yeah, it was there all right. It should be enough to pinpoint our murderer, but I wish I had more. It could take weeks to get the results. If the will is probated, and the killer gets his or her inheritance before then, they could disappear for good. You can buy a new identity easily enough for $1 million or more. There must must be some way I can nab the guilty party tonight.
I was hoping we'd learn more from questioning the suspects.
Me too. They were so busy trying to make each other look guilty, they didn't reveal much about themselves. Sometimes the slightest... Simon, move your foot.
What is it?
Here, on the rug. I think it's... Yes, that's what they were doing. It was just so insignificant. I barely noticed it at the time. Simon, I know who murdered your grandfather.
Who?
I'll tell everyone as soon as I gather the evidence. Quick, go tell Bensonhurst. I need to see everybody in here immediately.
Yes, ma'am.
Minerva sent me to see if you'd like a pot of coffee.
And never mind that. Go upstairs and tell everyone there to come down here on the double.
Yes, sir.
Everyone comes in. I don't think the police chief would mind if I use sandwich bags to gather evidence. I don't think he'd mind at all. Calm down, everybody. Please take a seat.
It's very late, Mrs. Davis, or very early, depending on how you look at it. If nobody else is going to ask, I will. Why did you call us together at this hour?
It has been a long night, hasn't it? I'm sure you're all very tired. I know I am. But I felt you would rest easier knowing who murdered Simon Starkweather.
You mean you've discovered who killed Great Uncle Simon?
I'm pretty sure I have, as I'm going to show you in the next few minutes.
I'm amazed, Mike. How did you figure it out?
First, I had to find the answer to a question that had bothered me from the beginning. It would have been so easy to make it appear that Mr. Starkweather died of natural causes, a suggestion Jordan Starkweather made to Miss Withers. For example, Mrs. Starkweather or her son could have given her some prodigitalis to trigger a heart attack. So could several others among you who were aware that she had them, and had left several on the floor of this room. No doubt when she spilled them earlier tonight. Miss Withers could have achieved the same results by injecting an air bubble into his bloodstream with a hypodermic needle. Again, any of you could have stolen a needle from her room and done the same thing. Also, it's highly probable that some of you considered frightening the old man to death. Minerva with her knife, Miss Thompson with her gun, Rufus with his axe, Bensonhurst with his wrench. The possibilities are endless. Why then would the murderer choose to put a blood pressure cuff around the victim's neck and inflate it until he's strangled to death? The answer is so simple, I feel so foolish for not realizing sooner what must have really happened.
Might I ask what that is?
Obviously, when the cuff was put on him, Mr. Starkweather was already dead. Am I right, Miss Van Zandt?
Bro.
You really are clever, Mrs. Davis.
It had to have been you. We were in here together when the lights went out. Mr. Starkweather began to ring his bell. I went to find Bensonhurst, and you went to check on Mr. Starkweather. His killer must have murdered the man and slipped into Miss Withers' room seconds before you found the body.
That's what I figured too.
Why would she put the cuff around his neck?
As our able detective here surmised, the murderer made it appear that Mr. Starkweather had had a heart attack. Death seems to have indeed been due to natural causes. There was no doubt in my mind, however, that someone in this house had killed him. I knew that under the circumstances, the coroner would have no reason to perform an autopsy on the body, nor would the police conduct an investigation. I wasn't about to let my employer's murderer get away scot-free. I noticed the blood pressure cuff on the bed, so I put it around his neck and inflated it before wheeling him into this very room.
And your plan worked. No one would question the fact that he had been murdered.
So young Simon hired Mrs. Davis to find the killer.
Which I have. That was very naughty of you, Miss Van Zandt. For a while, your little ploy distracted me from the main problem. Instead of focusing on who did it, I kept wondering why did they do it that way. Once I solved that piece of the puzzle, the rest came easier.
Sorry, Mrs. Davis, but if you have discovered the identity of the murderer, then the ends seem to have justified the means.
I imagine the police will agree, and might even overlook the fact that you're guilty of tampering with evidence at the crime scene.
If not, I'm on very good terms with the local judges.
Wait a minute. How do you know Miss Van Zandt didn't kill Great Uncle Simon herself.
No motive.
Oh yeah.
Don't keep us in suspense, Mike. Tell us who did kill Mr. Starkweather.
I'll do better than that. I'll show you. Bear with me.
What?
Stay seated. I imagine all of you still have the candles Mrs. Trent distributed earlier tonight to keep with you in case of a blackout. Take them out, please, and light them.
And then we're gonna cut here because of the pillar scene.